Half an hour after my girlfriend cheated on me, I booked a room and sent the number to her best friend. Ms. Fu hugged me tightly, then I closed my eyes. Since Xiang was unfaithful, it's not too much for me to give her back the green hat, but I still secured an escape route and chose Ms. Fu, whom she cannot afford to offend. Ms. Fu appeared before me for the second time. If you don't mind, let's try a long-term relationship. My first reaction was to refuse, but before we finished negotiating, Xiang sent a message. You're not answering the phone. I'll wait at the entrance of your complex if you dare come back. Otherwise, I have plenty of ways to make you regret breaking up with me. Don't think that by hooking up with Ms. Fu, she will take you seriously. Ms. Fu wanted to visit my place. The two of us went inside. She couldn't hide her joy and asked, "Why did you change your mind again?" I couldn't say it was to get rid of a problem. "Do you want to cling to my leg? Does Ms. Fu want to hear the truth or a lie?" Ms. Fu didn't expect me to say that. She grabbed my collar and pulled me close. The phone on the nightstand by the door rang. Neither of us intended to answer it, but the person on the other end seemed unwilling to give up and kept calling. I didn't get the tension. I already knew who it was. Absurd. No one would stop at this moment. It simply couldn't be stopped. Ms. Fu got a little impatient, reached out and pressed the answer button. "So you still know how to answer the phone. Did you dare to go up with Ms. Fu just now? What did you do? What do you two want to do after being together for so long? I'm telling you, without me, you won't get ahead in the company." I didn't need to put it on speaker. In the already quiet room, her voice was full of malice and warning. My survival was up to me, but she indeed had the power to ruin me in the company, all because of her powerful father. Ms. Fu pinched my cheek, looking at me with a half-smile. I smiled faintly. Looking at her expression, I realized my little trick had been exposed. "Ah Chen, focus." The other side of the phone instantly went silent, then exploded. Sitting in the car, Xiang heard this cold voice, immediately got out and hung up the phone. Haha. She doesn't even have the courage to face Ms. Fu. She did her worst and I did mine. Adults pay for their choices. There is nothing to regret. When Ms. Fu came out of the bathroom, her long hair was still dripping wet. "How does it feel to use me? I didn't set a trap for you. I'll give you a week to think about it. I expect a satisfactory answer." Over the next few days, I completely forgot Ms. Fu's words. It was a setup anyway, and besides, I never planned to have anything more to do with Ms. Fu. Most importantly, I didn't have time to deal with these things. All my time was spent contacting clients. The anniversary celebrations of several companies would be held at the Qinghuan Hotel. If I could pull this off, the position of head of the administrative department would surely be mine. Right now, I'm standing in the hallway outside the VIP room at the Dio Club. I took a deep breath and then, smiling, knocked on the door. When I walked in, the atmosphere was already very lively. The table was filled with all kinds of drinks and there were many hostesses standing around. "Well, isn't this Xiang's boyfriend? I thought you were a new male escort." I should have known. How could Mr. Fu, whom I had always avoided, suddenly leak the news? It turned out Xiang was waiting for me here. Xiang's boyfriend, his figure is really good. Someone who can only climb up by flattering me is my boyfriend. Xiang's spoiled voice echoed from the corner of the room. I noticed she was sitting next to a man. It was my first time seeing Xiang like this. Before this, she had always behaved very decently in front of me. As soon as Xiang opened her mouth, the atmosphere in the room instantly lit up. "Forget it, the handsome young man doesn't know any better. Aren't you going to apologize to Miss Xiang?" I knew tonight was a trap, but the current situation was far from optimistic. Xiang stood up and slammed the marble table in front of her. "Come and drink all this alcohol. I'll give you a chance to kneel and ask for forgiveness." The lively atmosphere of the room froze, even the music stopped. Everyone looked at me. I noticed there were already security guards waiting at the door. No wonder I could get in so easily earlier. After realizing this, I walked straight toward Xiang. She had to admit in her heart that I was the one who cared for her the most. It could be said I put this huge green hat on her. If she doesn't vent this anger, how can she survive in this city? "If I drink this alcohol, will you let me off? Drink first, then we'll talk." Immediately, there was a clamor in the room. I saw rows of wine glasses filled with pre-mixed liquids of various colors. Drinking them one by one is so boring. "Miss Xiang, what do you think? Do you think that by clinging to Ms. Fu she will protect you? What is her status? I treat you so well and you still dare to cheat on me. You treat me terribly, speak." Her expression changed. She threw the decanter straight to the floor. Since things happened so suddenly, by the time the bodyguards at the door reacted, I had already pinned Xiang down. She dares to talk about me having an affair when she's the one who cheated first. "Do you think I'm a pushover? I gave you a chance, but you didn't take it. What's wrong? If I cheat on you without your father, what are you?" Jian Haiyan was stunned. The shouting in the private room echoed immediately. Just as there was chaos, the door was kicked open. Just as Lu Nianian was about to speak, she heard my grandiose words. Qinghuan, how lively you are. Why did you go out to have fun without calling us? Speak, the people you brought behind. They suppressed the bodyguards at the door. Everyone who wanted to help suddenly fell silent. Then someone in the center of the venue cleared a seat. Miss Fu walked over calmly and sat down. The next instant, she spoke softly, "Are you coming to sit by my side?" At that tone, everyone looked at each other. I didn't know who she was referring to. Nan put on a jacket and buttoned his clothes, then stared at me. These days, I have longed to miss Chenji. No wonder Chen dared to come alone. It turns out he still called Miss Fu to this place. Everyone's eyes almost fell on me in surprise when they heard the tone implying this man was connected to Miss Fu. It seems their relationship is not ordinary. I was also confused. I didn't expect Miss Fu to come. Miss Fu's gaze met mine. I felt uncomfortable for once, not knowing where to put my eyes. Brother, do I still need to ask you to come over? The people in the private room understood. No wonder this man was so brave. He dared to cause trouble in Jian Haiyan's territory. It turns out he was leaning on Miss Fu. I just didn't know if it was on impulse or what was happening. I took a deep breath and walked straight toward Miss Fu, then sat down next to her. The world really spins. Just now they were treating me like a monkey. Now I'm sitting in the main seat. Look at them. Does anyone want to take a picture looking at the current situation? Is this the time to speak? As soon as I sat down, the cold and pure fragrance from Miss Fu's body wafted over. Lu Nianian took a look. She glanced at the group of people standing to the side and laughed softly. What, are you all frozen? Weren't you having fun just now? Sit down. Qinghuan was still standing. He had lost face in front of everyone. How could he swallow this insult? But in this situation, no one paid attention to Jian Haiyan. A group of people looked at Miss Fu's face, treating Jian Haiyan as if she didn't exist. The volume of the music was turned up to the maximum. Those who want to liven things up, keep livening them up. We can't let the place cool down, otherwise no one will have a good time tonight. Lu Nianian looked with playful eyes. I said this man is not simple. He was able to get Miss Fu to come in person. He must be someone important. But why does it seem like she doesn't thank him? His courage isn't small either. Knowing it was a trap, he dared to come alone. The breath of the woman suddenly brushed against my ear. I shuddered when she got so close. This move of Miss Fu's declaring her sovereignty was like announcing to the outside world, now he belongs to me. Jian Haiyan's eyes were red. Sister Qinghuan, you are giving up your best friend for a man. There was another burst of noise in the private room. It was an Usura battlefield. Someone was heard whispering, although Miss Fu used to hang out with us, those present today, apart from Lu Nianian, the only ones who can be Miss Fu's best friends are a few people from the imperial capital. Jian Haiyan drank too much. How dare she challenge Miss Fu like that? Someone beckoned to Jian Haiyan. Jian Haiyan hesitated for a moment. In this situation, if I let Chen go like this, then in the future I definitely won't be able to hold my head high in front of my friends. No, I can't back down. Miss Fu didn't even look at Jian Haiyan. Instead, Jian Haiyan's friend stood up. That's enough. Do you want to offend Miss Fu? Let's go. Jian Haiyan pushed the person away and tried to pull me up. Several people cried out. The next instant, the well-trained bodyguards of Miss Fu at the entrance came up and dragged Jian Haiyan aside. Miss Fu, Jian Haiyan still wanted to charge forward but could only cry on the spot. I helped you again. How are you going to pay me back? The soft voice of the woman brushed against my ear. I met her gaze, my fists clenched. The meaning in Miss Fu's words was too strong, but I don't understand why she helps me so much. Lu Nianian watched from the side with no intention of intervening. The matter escalated. Someone stood up and addressed Miss Fu. Ms. Lu, I have urgent business in my company. I'm leaving. Seeing that Fu Qinghuan didn't react, everyone stood up to leave. Fu Qinghuan called out, where are you going? No one is leaving. Everyone stopped. Fu Qinghuan stood up and swirled the red wine in her glass, looking at them carelessly, and said, we ordered such good wine, it would be a waste not to drink it, don't you think? Everyone flattered. Miss Fu, please rest assured. We will definitely finish it. We absolutely won't waste anything, and will cover all the expenses of the private room. At this moment, I couldn't pay attention to these people because Fu Qinghuan's slightly cool fingers brushed across my body almost imperceptibly. My gaze landed on the woman's exquisite profile and I clearly captured the triumphant gleam in her eyes. Fu whispered in my ear, do you like it? With a boom, I felt my brain, because the thread of my reason was completely broken. Thank you for coming to help me. Hearing my answer, Fu Qinghuan laughed even more and then, grabbing my arm, she asked in a loud, Chen, have you thought of me? I remained silent. How could I have time to think about such messy things? In the end, seeing me not reacting, the woman said, I missed you a little. I was stunned to hear this, looking at her in surprise. This woman is truly incredible, a completely normal sentence, yet she says it so ambiguously. Then I said impatiently, Vice President, I remember your company's evaluation in Finance magazine. Combined with what you're saying, I think your persona has collapsed a bit. Fu Qingwen smiled. Why do I need that persona? Those reports are just fabrications. I even consider it a waste of time to do interviews. Only men understand the sweetness of men. The two murmured to each other as if there was no one else around. In Xiangxian's eyes, this was a romance that had started long ago. You bastard, I can't believe you cheated on me. Just as Xiangxian rushed forward, Fu Qingwen saw Xiangxian's action and shot her a cold look, her gaze so icy it could freeze. Xiangxian couldn't help but stop. Then she looked at Xiangxian and said, It seems you are taking advantage of my good temper. You keep provoking me. Contact Jiang Lin and tell him to take his daughter away. Don't let her appear before me again. With that, the people next to her rushed to comply. Now only the two of us were left in the private room. Then Fu Qingwen smiled and asked, Ah Chen, what is your answer? I didn't expect her to ask again. Gathering my thoughts, I said, Vice President, can you answer a question for me? Go ahead. The woman's gaze continued to wander over my face, but I couldn't see my image in her eyes. I understood very clearly. Ever since I met Fu Qingwen, she hadn't shown any particular interest in me, not even now. Miss Fu, do you like me? Fu laughed. You worry too much. My heart sank. Although I had already imagined the answer, hearing her admit it so clearly brought a sense of frustration. But that's fine, it is better to be clear and transparent than for Xiangxian to deceive me under the guise of love. Meanwhile, Fu Qingwen withdrew as if the ambiguous words she had just spoken did not belong to her. I could only speculate. Since that's the case, I will decline President Fu's proposal. Fu Qingwen's lips curved into a smile. Your response is so direct, may I ask the reason? This Fu Qingwen is truly interesting. Sometimes I think she is rude, but at other times she is very understanding. I told her, as you saw, I have just suffered a betrayal. In this state, I have no intention of starting a relationship. She replied calmly, but I said a long-term partner, we're not talking about love. I was left perplexed by this response. Finally, I found an excuse and said, if President Fu feels that being rejected is very embarrassing, to express my gratitude for your help today, I can treat you to dinner. No need. Since we cannot reach an agreement before I get any more interested in you, our relationship can end here. You may leave. With that, her gaze no longer lingered on me. Her original interest in her eyes had completely vanished. I couldn't be that carefree. However, I am grateful she knew when to stop, even though we are very compatible. Being with someone like her, I could never maintain an equal relationship, and if I wanted to break free in the future, I would inevitably be labeled. I stood up. Then, goodbye, President Fu. Fu Qingwen did not respond. I turned and left. The truth is, if you don't deliberately look for someone in such a big city, the probability of meeting Fu Qingwen is minimal. And over the next 2 weeks, Fu Qingwen completely disappeared from my world. At the same time, my breakup with Xiangxian also came to light. Miss Jiang, who used to be so passionate. The courtship season, after 3 months of dating, ended abruptly. While I felt relieved, I also noticed the changes around me. My ominous premonition was correct. You got such basic data wrong. How long have you been with the company? I seriously doubt your professionalism. I received the notice at midnight last night, and the data reports I stayed up all night preparing had issues again. Naturally, there would be a scolding. I've heard that Nan Chen has also received a lot of complaints lately. Yesterday, Mrs. Chen had booked a banquet and said the dessert went wrong. As a colleague, I really hope you don't let your personal feelings affect our entire team in the administration department. After all, we must remember the needs of the clients. I ignored her, but placed the report I had already printed on Manager Kai's desk. I don't know why the cloud data went wrong, but just in case, I printed a copy. Can you see if there are any errors or omissions in the data? Manager Kai clearly didn't expect Nan Chen to have a backup. He leafed through it feigningly. Seeing his reaction, I sneered, knowing that the difficulties lately were merely because they had heard that Xiangxian and I broke up, and they were deliberately making things difficult for me at work. As for Mrs. Chen, I personally went to her house yesterday with a gift to apologize, and Mrs. Chen has already expressed her understanding. Manager Kai paused and put the report on the table. Mayan also didn't expect Nan Chen to do such a thing. Leaving the office, Mayan followed me, adding fuel to the fire. What's the use of your stubbornness? Xiangxian has already said your days will only get harder from now on. I replied directly to her, if whether I can handle it depends on my ability, don't worry about that. It's not like it's my first day in the working world. I've fallen into the same pit before, would I fall into it again? Do you really take me for a fool? Linsu saw me come out and handed me a coffee quickly, and seeing that I was going to the team leader's office, he just rolled his eyes and said, "You got in through the back door, and yet you dare to tell us you rely on Hyan." I laughed and comforted him. Forget it, why bother with him? There are many people like that in the workplace. Linsu pulled up his chair and started to complain. Why does Jian Hyan act like a mad dog? Breaking up is a normal thing. Now the planning department is furious and constantly looking for trouble with us, saying we aren't cooperating with the proposals they present, with Yang backing them up. They all act like show-off peacocks. It's not like I can say anything about Hyangan, right? Seeing him browsing his phone, I asked him with concern, "What are you looking at?" "Oh, today's headlines. They say Fu Qinghuan has a boyfriend and a top model at that," Linsu replied casually, and my hand stopped. Then I put on my glasses and opened the document on my desk to check my schedule and the team meeting. Linsu patted me on the shoulder. "Did you see Fu Jinghyun before when you went out with Jian Hyan for public relations?" "He's as handsome as he looks in the photos," I said casually. Actually, I didn't pay much attention to what he looked like. Besides, Jian Hyan was there at the time. How would I dare to look at anyone else? "Sigh, otherwise with Hyangan's princess temper you wouldn't have ended up well." "That's also true. Oh right, don't forget the department meeting tomorrow night. As soon as the news of your breakup with Jian Hyan got out, you and manager Kai has a bone to pick with you, and he might take the opportunity to make things difficult for you. If you find yourself in that situation, be a bit clever. If it's really necessary, you can just slip away. Thinking about the upcoming situation gives me a headache. All right, thanks for the reminder, I'll get prepared." The department meeting was scheduled at the newly opened hotel, so Linsu complained in the car because we couldn't go home to rest at night, but instead had to pay to treat the leaders. Mayan will definitely actively toast the leaders. Sigh, it's really disgusting. I parked the car and patted him on the shoulder to comfort him. Sigh, it's fine, just watch your words. If you posted that on the company forum, you'd be criticized for promoting individualism over team cohesion, and it would be strange if the leaders didn't look for trouble with you. You really know how to play the part. Let's see her performance. Linsu got out of the car slowly and then saw Mayan being watched with envy as she went to meet manager Kai. I thought, although that person Mayan is very annoying, she is capable of stooping to flatter a playboy like Kaising Li. What wouldn't she be capable of doing? At that moment, I got out of the car and sighing said to Linsu, "Sai, let's go in quickly or being late will affect everyone." Linsu nodded. We quickly walked at a brisk pace and Lin Yang saw us approaching and said, "I thought you got stuck again. Since we're all here, let's go." And smiling at Kaising Li again, she said, "The song you sang last time, today you must sing it again as the grand finale. I still haven't had enough." What a great flatterer, that made Kaising Li very happy. With a smile on her face, she first pulled Mayan and entered the lounge. And at that moment on the other side, Miss Fu, Miss Lu, the receptionist greeted them politely, holding the door open to guide them. Who else could it be but Fu Jingwen? I subconsciously averted my gaze. Is this still the Fu Jingwen I know? I still remember her previous hot and cold attitude toward me. It's completely different from how she is now. "Mr. Nan, we meet again." Lu Nanian, who was on the side, saw me and greeted me. Hearing her speak, the friends behind her all looked at me. Finally, in a teasing tone, Lu Nanian said, "What do you mean? Why hide him from your sisters? How come you don't invite such a handsome guy to play together?" Lu Nanian peeked furtively at Fu Jingwen, who didn't react, and finally tilted her head and replied to her, "Then don't ask me, I don't make the decisions." And Fu Jingwen, hearing their conversation without stopping, walked straight into the elevator. "Nan Chen, come play when you have time," Lu Nanian said. "If Nan Chen wants to come up and sit for a while, just ask the waiter for the room number." Finally humming, she followed Fu Jingwen. On this end, seeing that Lu Nanian was talking to me, the department colleagues were a bit surprised and finally asked with curiosity, "Nan Chen, do you know Miss Lu?" Even manager Kai's expression changed. If he had known that Nan Chen had this connection, he would have gone up to hand her a business card. Seriously, Sai, and Mayan's lingering gaze was fixed on me. "You met her when you were with Miss Jian, right, Nan Chen? You really should get out more." It's been 7 years in our administration department. Linsu rolled his eyes and made a move toward her. I stopped him immediately. "Whether one is filial or not, looking at you, Mayan, I have principles. I don't look for trouble and I'm not afraid of it. There's no need to argue with you." Hearing this, Mayan's face changed. "What do you mean, Nan Chen? Did you use your good looks to hook up with Miss Jiang? Why are you showing off in front of me? If you dare try to hook up with Lu Nanian, let's see if Lu Nanian pays any attention to you." The colleagues from the department saw this scene and quickly turned around. "Let's go, I can't wait to hear manager Kai sing." "That's it, that's right." Then she took Mayan away. Fu Sinan had just sat down when he heard someone ask Lu Nianian, "That handsome boy isn't your man. If he were mine, do you think I wouldn't tell you? You would have seen him in the room already. I'm not stupid. I'm not a charity case who brings a handsome boy back just to play around." Thinking of this, Lu Nianian looked at Fu Sinan and asked, "What exactly is the situation? Why was it cancelled that day?" I remember someone said Fu Sihan deliberately arranged it to get rid of her ex-boyfriend. Fu Sinan was so worried that he even postponed business and went straight to the subway. But what was the result? Why did he end up just sitting there looking at the scenery? Thinking of this, Lu Nianian felt even more curious. Then she heard the cold voice of Fu Sinan saying, "Mind your own business, don't pay too much attention to others." Oh, women who haven't been loved are really impossible to provoke. Every word they say is irritating. At that moment, Mayan entered the private room as if she had found her territory, running around everywhere. She clung to his arm tirelessly and accompanied Manager Kai for another round. The smile wrinkles on Manager Kai's face could hold eggs. Lin Su leaned on my arm and said to me carefully, as expected. Mayan walked over with a glass of wine. "Chen Nan, if you can deal with such a troublesome client like Mrs. Chen, everyone in our administration department owes you a drink, right?" I knew she would do something like this. "I have to drive later, so I won't drink tonight. I already have snacks and tea. I haven't even received the rice cigarette yet. We've already started drinking. Drink a bit or I'll make you pay. I've understood everything." Why say such things? I was about to go back to the private room when the door opened. A waiter brought drinks and a fruit platter. Someone asked in surprise, "Did you get the wrong table? We didn't order anything." "You didn't make a mistake." Then the waiter didn't leave but said, "This is a treat from Miss Lu for everyone. Also, all of tonight's expenses are on Miss Lu." Wow, these drinks cost a lot of money. Has he really contacted Miss Lu? Everyone was surprised. Immediately, their eyes landed on me. Mayan could barely keep a straight face. "No wonder you looked down on toasting the bosses, so you had someone backing you. I knew it, even Miss Lu wouldn't drink less than a man." Everyone finally couldn't help but hold back. "Who do you think you are?" The waiter left the items and withdrew. However, my heart sank. What does it mean for Lu Nianian to suddenly make such a move? Our private relationship hasn't reached that point. Could it be Fu Sinan? Mayan saw this, couldn't save face, snorted and left directly. If he is really close to Lu Nianian, she is someone even the inspection department of Huangxian has to flatter. If I keep making things difficult for him, what if he brings me trouble later? I've just started over. Lin Su asked curiously, "What exactly is going on between you and Lu Nianian? What's the situation?" "I'm not too sure, but one thing is clear. With the drinks Lu Nianian sent tonight, the next few days won't be so difficult. I just don't know how long I can hold out." My gaze swept across the room. Some, with guilty consciences, lowered their heads. Everyone had made enemies due to fame and fortune during this period. I was wondering if I should go thank Lu Nianian, or if she sent all this just to make me fall into her trap. Suddenly, I felt a weight beside me. Manager Kai sat down next to me. "Young man, I actually have very high expectations of you." Hearing that, I maintained a polite distance. "I still have many shortcomings. Thank you, Manager Kai, for always guiding us." Manager Kai looked me up and down. "Don't say that, don't be so polite. I just didn't expect you to be so familiar with Miss Lu." My heart skipped a beat. I knew he didn't come with good intentions. I want to see what he wants to do. The wine Manager Kai held kept swirling as he spoke slowly. "Lu's has just opened a new tourist resort with very good reviews. If we could secure a cooperation with Lu's resort, it will be of great help to your career development." What kind of international joke is this? Even our direct boss, Deputy Director Gao, isn't capable of getting this project. How could I get it? This old fox is crazy. Finally, a faint smile appeared on my lips. I didn't say anything, but while he promised me wonderful things, I said slowly, "If I meet Miss Fu next time, I'll try to ask, but personally, I don't know her very well." "Is that so?" Hearing my words, Manager Kai, with flickering eyes, said, "Actually, there's no need to wait until next time. Miss Fu is upstairs right now." My smile vanished from my face instantly, so Manager Kai came to test me on behalf of Fu Sihan. I can let Miss Lu fool these people, but I can't fool Fu Sihan, who doesn't know that Manager Kai was sent by her father from He Xiangxian to get the administration department. Just because Boss Tang isn't in the office, Manager Kai starts trying to show off, thinking that way. So I decided to be direct and took the initiative to pour wine for Manager Kai. Manager Kai felt flattered by my gesture. She even stepped back a bit from me as if I were going to do something to her. Finally, I sighed and said, "Manager Kai, you value me so much, I won't hide anything from you. I'll tell you the truth. Miss Fu and I really don't have any relationship. As for why she takes such good care of me, I suppose it's out of consideration for others. After hearing my words, Manager Kai asked curiously, "Really? Then who exactly is it who makes her take such good care of you?" "Of course, it is Miss Fu." I looked her in the eye and said word for word, "Miss Fu also takes care of me following Miss Fu's instructions. That's why she takes care of me." Manager Kai's hand trembled, spilling more than half a cup of wine. She thought, "It's true, I've heard of Miss Fu changing male companions quickly, but I've never heard of any known male companion near Miss Fu. He really has this influence. He's not lying to me again." Soon, Manager Kai reacted and asked me, "But Miss Fu didn't greet you just a moment ago. Do you really know Miss Fu?" "Ah Chen, don't exaggerate, it won't end well." I raised my glass and took a sip of wine, saying nonchalantly, "It's just that a couple of days ago she was angry with me, she just wanted me to pamper her." "Manager Kai, you know it too. These days I haven't been doing very well in the company, so it's normal to have some friction." Manager Kai took a sip of wine. Tapping the glass, she thought to herself, "If it's true and Miss Jian wants me to fire Ah Chen, she'll have to think twice about it after all. Now Ah Chen has Miss Fu behind him. This will be very convenient for the administration department to get anything done in the future." "Manager Kai, excuse me, I'll step out for a moment." Seeing that she didn't keep insisting on drinking, I made an excuse to go to the restroom to freshen my breath. The water from the sink wet my fingertips. Looking up, I saw Mayan following me and understood. Tonight I had made him lose face twice. He would definitely look for an opportunity to get revenge. Sure enough, speak of the devil and he shall appear. Then I heard Mayan's voice. "You're quite capable, whether it's he Xiangxian or Lu Nianian fluttering between various women, and yet you pretend to want nothing. You must be tired too." I pulled a paper towel, dried my hands, and then looked at Mayan, who was still mocking me. "Ah Chen, I want to see how long you can keep up the act." Hearing this, I laughed coldly and then said slowly, "Mayan, you make a lot of sense, but the person who provokes the conflict first is the one who loses respect." Mayan heard my words. His face turned pale and he was about to refute me. Then he heard me continue saying, "Why do you think Manager Kai was so submissive tonight?" Of course, it was because I told her that the person backing me up wasn't Lu Nianian but President Fu. "Besides, do you think I'm a person of good temper? I advise you to watch your own back." He didn't say anything, just glared at me angrily, turned around and left. At that moment, I stepped out of the restroom and bumped right into President Fu. President Fu looked up, saw me, and smiled playfully, but I thought, "It's over. Did she hear everything? If President Fu heard what I said, I might not see tomorrow's sun. No matter, I should apologize first." So taking a deep breath, I said, "Miss Fu, what I said earlier was a bit offensive to you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." President Fu heard me but said nothing and walked past me. I stood there stunned for a moment, then took out my phone and found President Fu's message page. The last message was left at room 5306. I looked at this message, and memories of that day rushed back into my mind. I shook my head quickly and started typing. Meanwhile, President Fu returned to the private room. The people inside were already enjoying the party. Lu Nianian was sitting next to a famous actor. "Miss Fu, why did you take so long in the restroom?" President Fu sat down. She avoided the wine offered by the man, but her gaze swept across these men. Then what came to her mind was that night with Ah Chen. President Fu sat quietly remembering. Song Sui and the others were already in high spirits. Lu Nianian hugged President Fu. "I went to look for you in the restroom. The waiter said you went to the second floor." The private room already had a restroom. It was already strange for President Fu to appear outside, and now she went to the second floor. Who would believe she didn't go for the person on the second floor? President Fu didn't reply. She brushed off Lu Nianian's hand and just said, "I'm leaving. See you another day." Lu Nianian stood up in surprise and said, Miss Fu, don't go. It's rare to see you. Why not stay for the party?" Meanwhile, I was in the hallway typing and deleting my apology. In the end, I only sent 3 words, "I am sorry." However, President Fu had blocked me. The message wasn't even sent. I looked at the red exclamation mark and smiled resignedly. Oh, President Fu's thoughts, I really can't guess them. That scene just now. This department meeting ended quickly. My colleagues left in pairs. When I felt my phone vibrate, I frowned, worried it might be a client, just like that, which I answered quickly. "Hello, who is speaking?" But from the other end of the phone, a strange static sound was heard. "That's it. We will resolve the company's matters slowly." The voice had been specially processed. You couldn't tell if the voice was male or female, so I hung up the phone with a poker face. What new trick is Jian Xian going to play? It seems like something is going to happen tonight. I must be careful. After having some drinks in the evening, a group of us planned to take a taxi back. What did Jian Xian want to do? As things stand, it's impossible for me to go back and apologize. Isn't that Miss Fu's car? Everyone looked toward the parking area and a black sedan smoothly passed by us. Mayan's mocking laughter echoed from behind and Manager Kai's expression wasn't much better. I ignored Mayan's laughter. Feeling puzzled, I turned around. Are you crazy, Mayan? Why are you acting up again? I had been holding my temper all night. What am I laughing at? I was also waiting for this opportunity. Of course, I'm laughing at someone who talks big and brags about himself. Do you think you have a connection with Miss Fu? Without considering how many people want to meet Miss Fu, she has always been cold and distant. Do you think Miss Fu is a philanthropist anyone can meet? Just as the colleague next to me wanted to refute her, the car following Miss Fu stopped in front of them. The woman rolled down the window. It was Zoe, Miss Fu's assistant. Mayan was instantly speechless. Manager Kai reacted faster than her and rushed forward, fawning. Assistant Zoe, long time no see. Zoe waved her hand. Looking at me, she said, Sir, do you have any business needs? You can contact the number on this business card. I was stunned, then reacted immediately and asked, Assistant Zoe, can I make an appointment with Miss Fu to apologize in person? Zoe nodded and said, I will ask if Miss Fu has time. But she didn't refuse. I relaxed. Thank you. Goodbye, Assistant Zoe. As I watched the luxury car motorcade drive away, my colleagues instantly fell silent. Linsu rolled his eyes, looked at the pale-faced Mayan and said, some people had better bite their tongues. Otherwise, they won't even know who they're offending one day. I held the business card in my hand. I thought, although this is only Zoe's personal number, at least it's an opening that Miss Fu gave me. This means she is willing to listen to my explanation. I must seize this opportunity. Mayan could no longer stand still. She hailed a car and left immediately. Linsu stayed with me to see everyone off before getting into a taxi. He still reminded me, you've been drinking too, you shouldn't cause any trouble, right? We'll talk about it tomorrow at the company. I closed the car door for him and gestured. I see, don't worry about me, you should go back and drink some soup to sober up. Don't worry, I'm a grown man, what could happen to me? Watching the taxi drive away, I stood still for a moment. Just as I was about to wait in the car and call a designated driver, a suspicious object was placed on the passenger seat, clearly a deliberate prank. And then I slammed the door shut. I closed the door and planned to go straight to the police station, but halfway there I felt someone was behind me. I kept calm and thought, could it be someone sent by Jian Xian coming for revenge? No, I need to get out of here quickly. Until a car's headlights lit up and someone got out. Suddenly they patted me on the arm. I brushed their hand off sharply and asked, what do you want? Who is touching me? In the end, I stared at her beautiful face. Miss Fu, why is she here? What happened? What made you so nervous? There's an unknown object in my car. I suspect Jian Xian sent someone to tamper with my car. I was about to call the police, but then I realized someone was following me, so I wanted to get out of here quickly and lose them. After hearing what I said, Miss Fu directly ordered the bodyguards following her check his car, then call the police. Yes. The bodyguards who heard the order went to execute it. I stood there, my mind still replaying the previous scene. At that moment, Miss Fu opened the car door. Get in, I'll take you home. I didn't move, still immersed in my own world. Miss Fu didn't hear any movement from me for a long time and nudged me with resentment. What? Are you going to reject me again? HMPH, suit yourself, I'm leaving. All right, then I'll trouble you, Miss Fu, to give me a ride. Just as she was about to leave, she heard my voice. Miss Fu gently laughed and said, why are you so obedient today? I thought you would reject me directly. I laughed without saying anything. Miss Fu, didn't you just leave? After getting into the car, I asked, are you very interested in my business? Why did you like what I said just now at the intersection? The car others were talking about. It turns out it was your car. I ignored her teasing and said, Miss Fu is a bit speechless. I sighed softly. I've always been here. Are you sure the previous car was mine? I nodded, pretending not to hear the conversation about the coat. Thank you so much today. It's a good thing you were here. Miss Fu suddenly lost interest in talking with me. I didn't stay here specifically for you. The rain has also made the air cooler. There's no need to keep apologizing over and over. She's just upset. I was just stuck here, and indeed I wasn't waiting for her on purpose. I don't care what she believes. Hearing Miss Fu say this, I didn't know what to say. There was a moment of awkwardness in the car. The driver looked at us through the rearview mirror several times and finally, with his heart in his throat, asked, Miss Fu, are you going home? Miss Fu glanced at me out of the corner of her eye during my silence and said, Hue Yuan Mingzhen. The car was already quiet and Miss Fu closed her eyes to rest. I, however, did not relax. My nerves remained tense. I still couldn't understand why Miss Fu, who was always said to not understand human emotions, paid so much attention to me, whom she had only met a couple of times. Could it be out of interest? Fortunately, the distance wasn't far. Upon arriving at the residential area just as I was about to get out of the car, I couldn't help but look at Miss Fu again. Miss Fu, upon noticing my gaze, said, "Why are you looking at me? Get out of the car." "What? Do you want to spend the night in the car?" "Tonight I'll get out of the car to wait for her." Just as I was about to say something else to Miss Fu, she had already grabbed my arm and we headed toward the residential area. We walked side by side, and just as I was about to say something, "How bold of you. Who is Qinghuan? Didn't you look into her beforehand?" Miss Fu's voice became increasingly cold, even carrying a hint of melancholy. Hearing this, I paused for a moment. Still, I explained, "Even though I am with her, the truth is I didn't know her very well before. Besides, I believe when two people are together, they should focus on the present and the future, not the past, so I didn't think much of it." Miss Fu looked at me with disbelief, finally stopped and said, "Keep talking. What you say makes a lot of sense." At this moment, I felt a bit like I was reporting for the last time. I observed Miss Fu's expression, seeing that she was quite calm. I continued, "As for the betrayal, I admit I have a heavy heart, but Qinghuan has deceived me over and over. I must defend my dignity. However, regarding you, Miss Fu, I must apologize. I shouldn't have mentioned my rejection in front of others again." To make myself feel better about our past relationship, I said those words. My expression changed involuntarily toward Miss Fu, who remained silent for a long time, then snorted, and then she spoke slowly, "Your judgment of people is certainly not good." I could understand what she meant. She basically thought I was crazy, preferring to play boring love games with Qinghuan instead of maintaining a relationship with her. But it was precisely because she was so unattainable that I dared not offend her. We walked one after the other, and when we reached the entrance of my building and I planned to open it, I remembered Miss Fu was still there. Finally, I turned around and invited Miss Fu inside, realizing my words sounded a bit ambiguous. "Miss Fu, would you like to come up and sit?" But with a man and a woman alone at the doorstep, it wasn't easy to just send her away. Miss Fu saw my reaction and chuckled just as she was about to decline. The next second, Qinghuan, who had been hiding here waiting for me, appeared. "Ah Chen, please, I beg you, we will never be apart again. I will stay with you from now on." I was surprised to see this somewhat agitated woman standing in front of me right now. Miss Fu looked at Qinghuan in front of her and frowned. "Qinghuan, this is too much. If you dare to do this again next time, don't blame me for sending you to where you belong," she said, glancing at the bodyguards beside her. The bodyguard took Qinghuan away, leaving us alone again. Then Miss Fu said, "This time you have to come with me, right? This place is not very safe." I thought she would send me to a hotel, but it wasn't until we entered the highly secured community that I realized she was taking me to her home. The foyer light turned on. Miss Fu's territory opened up completely before me. Miss Fu's style was evident here from the entrance to the decor. Naturally, it was simple, elegant, and detailed in every aspect. Just the few paintings hanging in the foyer and hallway had a lot of style. Miss Fu walked ahead, then turned around and said to me, "It's fine, don't be so reserved." I followed her to the living room. It was huge, basically modern in style. I assume Miss Fu isn't home much, so there was no sign of anyone living here. I saw her go straight to the second floor and I hurried to follow. Miss Fu arrived at a room at the end of the hallway, and that was when she turned to look at me. "This is your room, go on and wash up. You've had an exhausting day. Get some rest soon." Seeing that I wasn't moving, Miss Fu stopped. "What's the matter? Don't you like this room, or do you want to sleep in the master bedroom?" Hearing this, my ears flushed. I awkwardly stammered, "I didn't mean that." "I'm afraid your boyfriend won't like it." Miss Fu heard this and raised her head in puzzlement. "Who told you I had a boyfriend? Where did you hear that?" Looking at me with surprise, I didn't know what to say for a moment. I felt a bit embarrassed. Just as I was about to end this conversation, I heard her voice again. "So, what do you think of Qinghuan now? Do you regret being with her?" With her, I was stunned. When choosing a partner, not knowing the other person's past is, I think, foolish, so regretting it later is also reasonable. Saying this, Miss Fu entered the master bedroom without waiting for my response. I stood there stunned for a moment before realizing, wait, that's what she meant. Miss Fu is actually questioning my standards for choosing a partner. How frustrating, but there's no way to refute it. I stood there thinking for a long time. Then I opened the door, took my toiletries, and went to the bathroom. I was still thinking in my head about how I should apologize to her tomorrow. I feel so embarrassed. Forget it, forget it, forget it. I'll think about it tomorrow. My task is to get a good rest. After all, I have to work tomorrow. In the master bedroom on the other side, Miss Fu put on a bathrobe. She poured herself a glass of red wine and saw an incoming call on her phone. "Hello, speak quickly." On the other end of the phone, there was some noise. Lu Nanian asked curiously, "Didn't you go back home? Why did you take your boyfriend Ah Chen?" Miss Fu stood by the window watching the shadows of the trees moving outside. She said calmly and lightly, Ah Chen is Ah Chen. Why is a reason needed? Nan was stunned by this response and then teased, President Fu, your words are dishonest. Tell me the truth. Is it true that you don't care about gender? Miss Fu heard his words. Just seeing a man being targeted by Xiangxian out of humanity, I should lend a hand. Nan laughed coldly and teased, President Fu, don't pretend you don't understand in front of me. Do you understand what I mean? Miss Fu put down her wine glass. If you fall in love in just 2 or 3 days, then your companion can probably go from the front gate of the Liu family too. Then she hung up the phone. It shouldn't be like that. Or maybe I thought too much, but from President Fu's expression, she obviously cares a lot about that man. How strange, how strange. I made a very bad decision. If I had known, I wouldn't have brought that man. Now even Nan knows. At this moment, after I finished washing up, I lay down in the guest room, but I couldn't sleep. I felt like something was wrong. What does President Fu mean by this with me? Did she really bring me here out of pure kindness? The more I thought, the more frustrated I became. Just as I was tossing and turning, I heard footsteps at the door. I froze and sat up. My heart beat at 1,000 miles an hour. What does she want here? It couldn't be. My boyfriend, are you asleep? I thought for a moment and finally asked, Miss, are you here so late? Is there something? It's nothing important. I'm just concerned about you. Rest early. Saying this, I heard President Fu's footsteps gradually fade away, and just then sleepiness washed over me. The next morning, the 7:00 alarm woke me up punctually. I got up and washed. As soon as I walked out the door, I heard voices downstairs. It turned out the special assistant and President Fu's secretary were all here. President Fu was sitting on the sofa. While listening to their work reports as if sensing something, she looked up at me. That's all for now, she told them. Go take care of it. Report any situations in the process. Understood, Deputy Director. They replied respectfully, then they quietly withdrew and downstairs returned to its usual quiet. When you're done packing, come down, there's no one else downstairs. Hearing that, I nodded. I went down and greeted Miss Fu. Good morning, Miss Fu. Let's eat. Breakfast is already ready. I noticed then, on the dining table, various breakfast items had already been laid out, both Western and Chinese. The breakfast on the table was very hearty, and I remembered that I often skip breakfast just to sleep in a bit. Today I can finally eat well. I pulled out the chair, sat down, and looked at Miss Fu, asking hesitantly, don't you eat breakfast in the morning? Aren't you hungry? Miss Fu was sitting on the sofa replying to messages. I've already eaten. You can eat by yourself. I also suggest that if you have nothing to do today, take a day off. Go to the police station to resolve it. Of course, Special Assistant Joe will go to help you. Hearing this, I asked tentatively, then when it comes to Xiangxian, how will she be punished? The specific situation will depend on how Uncle handles it and how you describe it. After all, this can be big or small. I know it won't be for long, but what worries me is what will happen after Xiangxian is released. Thinking about this, I sighed. Don't worry, things need to be investigated. A result won't come out so quickly. At least she won't bother you for a while. Just the internal disputes of Xiangxian's family and the things Xiangxian herself left behind years ago will be enough to keep them busy. Knowing Miss Fu's style of speaking, I knew I could rest easy for now. Finally, I heard her change the subject. What do you want to eat on Friday? I'll ask the chef to prepare it for you. That means we'll still eat together at noon, I thought again. If I refuse, it might mean Miss Fu won't intervene anymore in the matter of Xiangxian. After hesitating, I asked, Miss Fu, can I understand that because you like being with me so much, you care about me a lot and will solve my problems? Miss Fu heard this. More than care, it's, and even if it is, if I remember correctly, you've always been the one actively seeking me out. It is indeed so, because you and I, in this aspect, we have a balanced relationship. Of course, it is better if going forward we don't interfere too much in each other's lives. When necessary, call me to coordinate the time or show up at a fixed time. What do you think? Miss Fu heard my words. She was somewhat surprised by my request. Finally, she kept silent for a moment and asked curiously, do you even want to reject the gifts I give you? I knew that would be her reaction. I know that by dealing with Miss Fu, I can get a lot of help and also connect with higher powers, but I don't want to bet my entire future on someone else. Let's maintain a relationship of mutual respect, a relationship of ordinary friends with no strings attached. Only contact me when necessary without involving material possessions. That way, if we part ways in the future, it will be cleaner. Yes, I finally said, if Miss Fu wants to continue this relationship with me, I hope that basic gifts are exempted to avoid future trouble if we separate. I see, that's fine. This way we will all be more comfortable. Then she got up and left, regardless of my reaction, and Special Assistant Zuo entered just as I was about to pack my things to leave with Special Assistant Zuo. He saw my movements and reminded me, Mr. Nan, your house is still in the inspection phase. Hearing that, I put my things down. I raised an eyebrow and asked, Special Assistant Zuo, is this Miss Fu's idea? Special Assistant Zuo smiled without saying anything. I understood. In the end, I put my things aside and packed them away. Then, let's go. Since Miss Fu didn't dismiss me immediately, it means she accepted my proposal. Since we have reached an agreement, there is no need to be polite anymore. The car is already waiting outside. The views of the neighborhood are better during the day. After I got into the car, Qinghuan handed me a file. This is from last night, Miss Jiang's statement. The issue mainly focused on stalking and intimidation. You don't have to worry too much about the rest. We will handle it. I looked at Jiang Qian's statement. It said it was just a joke between couples and I let out a cold laugh. I don't accept a private settlement. I stand by my initial decision on this matter. Miss Fu also said the same. And I will get you a good lawyer to resolve this matter. He chose someone unmatched. I really have to thank Fu Qinghuan for this. She clearly had no reason to get involved in this matter, but she still stepped in to help me. Then I nodded. MMH. I really have to thank Miss Fu and thank you for your hard work, Assistant Zuo. Qinghuan sat beside me in silence. It wasn't until we approached the police station that he reminded me, Mr. Jiang and Mrs. Jiang came last night. They were a bit agitated. I suggest you don't confront them directly. Hearing this reminded me of when Jiang Qian was with me. Once, while we were shopping, we ran into her parents. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I hadn't forgotten their haughty attitude. Anyway, I wouldn't start a conflict. Thinking about this, I complained in my mind. But with Jiang Qian's parents, I wasn't sure. After all, raising someone like Jiang Qian means the parents must be difficult to deal with. As soon as I entered the police station with Qinghuan, I heard a woman's sharp voice. You are so petty, you are framing my daughter. I turned around. Mrs. Jiang and Mr. Jiang glared at me with displeasure. The woman even wanted to lunge at me to teach me a physical lesson. Qinghuan's expression changed. Just as he was about to stop her, I looked at them indifferently and said sarcastically, What, do you still want to fight me? Be reasonable, all right? I am also a victim. Why can't I defend my rights, Mrs. Jiang pointed her finger at me and said angrily, Stop pretending, such a petty man. What has my daughter done to you? Mrs. Jiang, instead of tangling with me here, you'd better think about what your daughter did. If she hadn't hurt me, I would have no reason to make things difficult for her. Mrs. Jiang was so angry she couldn't speak. Mr. Jiang patted her on the back to comfort her. Then Mr. Jiang looked at me and replied, Mr. Nan, you act so virtuous. Aren't you just doing this to get compensation? As for sending our Jiang Qian here, Jiang Qian is our daughter. She has always been very obedient since she was a child. If it weren't for people like you corrupting her, how would she have fallen into this situation? I was tired of this meaningless conversation. I directly told the officer standing on the side, You heard it too. They are personally attacking me. I refuse to reach a private settlement with the Jiang family, and I do not accept any mediation. I only believe in what the law rules. Whatever happens, happens. Mrs. Jiang, what is wrong with you? Why do you speak so recklessly? Even if you say it, it won't hurt you anyway. Just process it normally. The rest is irrelevant. Meanwhile, Lu Nan entered Fu Qinghuan's office. Zhuo Qing's voice was still playing on her phone. Fu Qinghuan heard the noise and paused the audio. She looked up, glanced at her, and asked, Are you so free now? Why do you come here every day? Don't you feel comfortable in your own office? Do you think I want to come? Lu Nanian looked at Fu Qinghuan with melancholy, saying aggrievedly, Qinghuan, your move is so big that many people are asking me. If the matter of the Jiang family is resolved, what about the projects invested in before? We can't just set them aside, can we? So I came to ask you. Fu Yingyuan took a sip of coffee, paying no attention to the project issue. He simply said lightly, Whoever makes a mistake must pay the corresponding price. Do you need me to tell you this? As for the rest, we'll see why everyone is in such a hurry. Lu Nanian heard this and replied with lightness. It seems Miss Jian hasn't been having a good time lately. Lu Nanian, of course, wouldn't plead for Xiangxian, she just sighed. Then Qinghuan changed the subject. Uncle Song and Auntie are going to celebrate your boyfriend's birthday. Are you going? Fu Yingyuan estimated he should be leaving the police station soon. Then he replied, I already have a date. You guys go. I won't bother you anymore. Zhao Qing walked out of the police station with me and said, Mr. Nan, if you have nothing else to do, I have to go back to the company. Zhao Qingwei looked at his watch. He was obviously in a hurry to handle matters. Don't worry about me. I saw his intention and finally said, Go with the driver. You are also quite busy. Don't delay your work. Zhao Qingwei was surprised to hear my response and then laughed lightly. Then I'll leave first, Mr. Nan. Don't forget your lunch with the deputy director at noon. I had really forgotten about it. I won't eat, I said gratefully, Assistant Zhao. Thank you, thanks to your reminder. Xiangxian has already been dealt with. My personal safety doesn't need to be worried about. However, just in case, Zhao Qingwei still left 2 bodyguards to protect me. I walked slowly down the street thinking. I had already asked for leave in the morning, so I was in no hurry to go to work. I don't know if they heard some news, but even manager Kaio was unusually talkative. He agreed immediately to my leave request. He even said there was no rush and that I could return to work after resolving everything. So I want to take this time to think carefully, how exactly should I thank Mrs. Fu? On the other hand, Zhao Qing contacted Mrs. Fu immediately. Mrs. Fu, I have finished settling everything and have booked a restaurant for you for lunch. You can go straight to eat with Mr. Nan. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone. You have too little work. Truly meddlesome, Zhao Qingwei curled his lips slightly and thought. It seems Mrs. Fu is very happy. I just didn't expect her to value Mr. Nan so much now. It seems I will have to be more polite to him in the future. As for me, while I was still wondering if I should go back to the apartment to take a look, I heard the phone ring. I looked and saw that my aunt was calling me. I thought doubtfully, why would my aunt call me? So I answered, hello auntie, what's wrong? My aunt heard my voice. Chen spoke with some concern. Are you free auntie, what's wrong, tell me if there's something. Then my aunt said, sigh, I'm fine. Yan Tianli got into a fight with someone at school. Neither her father nor I am home, I'll have to trouble you to go. I know, don't worry auntie, I'll go to the hospital to see her in a bit. I hung up the phone and sighed. Yes, I took a taxi straight to the nearby hospital. When I was in the hallway, I saw Yan Tianli. She looked very disheveled. Passers-by were staring at her. Feeling the stares of the passers-by, she secretly clenched her fists. Seeing me, she quickly stopped me. Yan Tianli, what are you doing again? Hurry up and loosen your fist. I walked over quickly, looking at her with a grim face. Yan Tianli saw me. She looked at me with disdain and said, is that you? I didn't call you to come, it's her again, right? She really thinks she's my mother. An outsider should interfere less in our family's business. Hearing this, I replied with a grim face and shouted at her, shut up. I'm telling you, Yan Tianli, your father and I fell in love freely. Watch your mouth. Yan Tianli sneered and scoffed, free love, that's the funniest joke I've ever heard. Do you even believe that yourself, pal? It's fine to comfort yourself at home, but my mother told me, don't think I don't know anything. I laughed coldly. I rolled up my sleeves and said nonchalantly, since your mother is so capable, why didn't she come to help you solve this problem? The expression on Yan Tianli's face changed instantly. She turned her head and sobbed incessantly. She is busy and can't come, she said, making up more and more excuses. Finally, she seemed to convince herself. Yes, she said loudly, she is busy, my mother wouldn't ignore me, don't try to sow discord here. Hearing this, I mercilessly shattered her illusion. Busy, I said sarcastically. Busy meeting with her friends. Yan Tianli, let me tell you, you'd better behave yourself. Otherwise, if you get into trouble, you'll have to take responsibility. I won't worry about you, do it yourself. After I finished speaking, Yan Tianli's eyes flickered. She said, is it really that serious? Will I really have to take responsibility? I sighed and said, now that I understand the situation, Yan Tianli, you pushed the person down the stairs as soon as you went up. You have a brain. If you don't want it, donate it to someone who needs it. But if their internal organs are damaged or their foot injury prevents them from playing basketball, what are you going to use to compensate them? Who asked him to act so pretentiously? Yan Tianli muttered. If I pulled the trigger, he would fall. I stared at her and said coldly, I think you won't give up until you see the Yellow River. Wait here and apologize sincerely. I suppose he was the one who scared her before. She didn't refute again. I took her directly and knocked on the door of the room. After receiving permission, I pushed the door open and went in. Xiang Yu, it really is an acquaintance. Xian took me to her gatherings a couple of times. I saw her once at Xian Yao's new club. That was the first time we met. Although the tension in my heart had eased a bit, I was still a little worried. After all, this is the Zai family and this matter is no small thing. Can it really be resolved so easily? I really admire Tianlei, this troublemaker. How could she mess with the person she shouldn't mess with the most? Miss Zai, finally I asked tentatively. Xian Yao was standing by the window. She turned upon hearing the sound and saw me. She was also a little surprised. Nan Chen, how are you here? It's really a rare visit. Forget it, for the sake of Qinghuan I'll ask. Seeing that Xian Yao's attitude was quite calm, I chose my words carefully. Miss Zai, this is all our fault, our trouble. If there's anything you need us to compensate, we'll do our best to do so. Xian Yao personally shook her head. My uncle only has one precious daughter at home. Since childhood, the whole family has pampered her like a treasure. Now she even has to withdraw from basketball games. It's unclear if she can still play basketball. In this situation, what compensation can you offer? And Tianlei, although she also saw that the woman in front of her was not easy to deal with, surprisingly said nothing. At this moment, I didn't say anything either. My brain was running at full speed. Xian Yao looked at us and asked curiously, both Tianlei and me, "What is your relationship?" I was stunned, then reacted and replied, "She is my younger cousin, really." "But it seems this younger cousin doesn't consider you her older brother. Go out first. I have something to ask your brother," Xian Yao said to Giant Tianlei. Giant Tianlei went out immediately without looking back, obviously leaving all the trouble to me. If it weren't for my aunt, I wouldn't want to have anything to do with this ungrateful person for a second. At the critical moment, she runs faster than anyone. Only Xian Yao and I were left here. Xian Yao sat on the sofa and asked, "Does Xiangxian's matter have to do with you?" I didn't expect that instead of going after Tianlei, she would mention Qinghuan first. Then I replied, "We have some connection. What's wrong?" Xian Yao heard this and looked at me. But I have to say, the man in front of her was really handsome. Compensation, my family doesn't lack it, but I can give you this face. I won't make things difficult for your sibling. I was delighted. "Miss Zai, do you mean it? Thank you so much." "Don't worry, we will keep her in check in the future. Miss Zai, please speak. Don't misunderstand me, I'm also doing this for Qinghuan." I froze. It turns out it's because of Fu Qinghuan. No wonder Xian Yao yielded so quickly. Otherwise, with the Zai family's temper, if my dear little cousin wanted to finish high school smoothly, it would be impossible. She would even have a record left. "I think Miss Zai doesn't know what to say. Don't worry, I won't take advantage of you. Besides, your aunt is with the attending physician now. Take your sibling away right now, otherwise I won't be able to easily intervene later. Miss Zai, I owe you this favor." Xian Yao didn't hesitate. She watched me leave before sending a message to Fu Jingyuan on her phone. Leaving the ward, I saw Giant Tianlei standing by the side. Looking at her phone, Giant Tianlei looked up and saw me with a displeased face. She blew a bubble with the gum in her mouth. "Well, if you had resolved it on the spot, I could have left." I looked at her and said, "I shouldn't have come to handle your business. Go ahead and say it." I ignored her and kept walking. Giant Tianlei said something and then followed me. "Hey, what do you mean by that? Do you think I'm a nuisance? Then you could have left. Did I ask you to take care of me?" I pressed the elevator button and curled my lips up and down sarcastically. "You only dare to yell at me because you're young. They won't pursue you, and I'll tell you the truth. If your aunt hadn't called me, I wouldn't have stepped in here. Giant Tianlei, of course, knows I won't catch her. She hated me the first time she saw me. Now if she looks at me, it will hurt her even more, as if she were stabbed with a knife." Then she retorted, "Do you think you're so noble? The way that woman looked at you, don't think I don't understand what kind of look that was." Giant Tianlei laughed. "You are as annoying as your aunt." I sneered, "Well, it's your problem if you don't have good looks." Tianlei became furious. The elevator arrived. I looked at Giant Tianlei, who refused to get in, and said, "No matter how much you don't want to, the person representing you today is someone you despise." Then I closed the elevator door. Only then did I relax and leaned against the wall, thinking, Giant Tianlei is against me, and it is my aunt who is in a difficult position. In this world, she is the only relative I have left. If I could, I wouldn't want my aunt to have a hard time. Giant Tianlei's temper really makes one not want to get close to her. Arriving at the hospital entrance, I found that those who had just entered had folded their umbrellas. I don't know when it started raining. I looked at the wet ground. I was so unlucky today. Just when I was worrying about the rain, not knowing when it would end, the phone rang. After answering, I heard Assistant Zhu's voice. "Sir, did something happen to you?" He looked back. President Fu, who was already waiting in the old Zone 3. What on earth is he doing to make President Fu wait so long? By logic, he is not someone who doesn't know what he's doing. I looked at the phone. Then I remembered my appointment with Fu Jingyuan at noon, but I reacted quickly and said to Assistant Zhu, "I want to cook dinner for President Fu. I'm buying ingredients outside, and then I have something to do. I'm dealing with it now and will personally contact President Fu later, don't worry." Assistant Zhu breathed a sigh of relief and replied, "All right, sir, don't forget your appointment with President Fu." Fu Jingyuan received the news a few minutes ago but didn't have much of a reaction. "I'm sorry, there was an emergency at noon. I have to cancel. I'll make you dinner tonight. What would you like me to cook?" I saw her calm down and then her red lips curled. "Sure, cook whatever you want, I'm not picky." I looked at the message and smiled. There aren't many dishes I know how to make. It's a good thing Fu Jingyuan isn't picky. Otherwise, I think I'd have to call for outside help. Then I replied, "Can I try? I'll try to make it suit your taste so you can enjoy dinner." A while later, the woman replied. This time it was a voice message. I found a relatively quiet place and opened it. "More than dinner, I want you by my side." I fell silent for a moment. Fu Jingyuan's words really left me puzzled. Fu Jingyuan didn't send me any more messages, otherwise I would feel a bit awkward. Just as I finished delivering something, I saw two bodyguards in suits walking toward me from the corner. Instinctively, I wanted to turn around and head back to the hospital to confess, but the bodyguards were already approaching. Mr. Nan, we are the bodyguards assigned to you by Assistant Zuo. We saw you didn't have an umbrella. Do you need us to take you to your destination? I stood there, slightly dazed. They've been following me. The bodyguards obviously looked a bit embarrassed. We are private security hired by Fu. Unless necessary, we won't appear in front of you. Although I was a bit displeased, it was a special period, so I replied, I need to go to President Fu's residence. Find a supermarket nearby and let me off there. Getting in and out of the car, I remembered to reply to my aunt. She was no longer upset, but she still needed Yan Tianlei to know the consequences. He can't always have others clean up his mess and pay compensation. When my aunt returns, she'd better take Yan Tianlei to negotiate a settlement and express her stance. As soon as I sent the message, my aunt replied, Understood, Ah Chen. It's been a long time since you came home to eat. Have you been taking good care of yourself lately? Seeing my aunt's caring message, I felt a bit sad, then replied, I'm doing great, Auntie. Don't worry, I'll come home to eat when I have time. Fu Jingyuan had a last-minute meeting tonight. By the time she asked me to get in touch with Zuo Qingwei, I was already shopping in the supermarket. Zuo Qingwei's call came at an opportune moment. The vice president has an impromptu meeting and asked me to contact you. It's fine, I'll just wait. Generally, these kinds of drinking dinners aren't really about eating. He'll feel a bit unwell when he returns home, so I should make something for him. It turned out perfect. Then I asked Assistant Zuo, what kind of flavors does the vice president prefer? Zuo Qingwei hesitated for a moment. The vice president's mother is from Heicheng. I can only share this much. So I bought some ribs and fish, then I went back to Fu Jingyuan's villa. Changing my shoes at the door, I found there was an extra pair of slippers. They were in the same style as Fu Jingyuan's. I was a bit surprised, thinking someone else had come to the house. I looked around and found that I was the only one there. There was simply a complete set of toiletries in the guest room. It gave the impression that I was going to stay here long-term. My phone vibrated. I picked it up and saw a message from Fu Jingyuan. If you get bored, you can go to the media room in the basement. I'll be back late tonight. All right, no problem, I'll wait for you. Then I put on some makeup and went to the kitchen. I started to prepare the dishes I was going to cook. I did it quickly, finishing in less than an hour. There was still a long time before Fu Jingyuan would return, so I started wandering around the house out of boredom. I thought there were only 2 floors, but I discovered that the indoor elevator went down, revealing another world inside. Sadly, Fu Jingyuan wasn't home most of the time. I bypassed the kitchen entirely, but discovered that at the end of the hallway there was a piano room. I really didn't expect Fu Jingyuan to know how to play the piano. I marveled at it for a moment. Then I went to the media room and chose a niche movie. After watching it for a while, I felt sleepy. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Fu Jingyuan, who was attending an event, was looking at her phone in silence. The people around her noticed her action. The vice president has been looking at her phone all night. Is there something to explain? Since nothing had ever been difficult for Fu Jingyuan, people didn't think there was any trouble. It's no big deal, I just picked up a big dog last night. I don't know if it will get bored at home. There were some smart people present. After exchanging looks, they didn't mention going for a second round. By the time Fu Jingyuan returned home, it was already late. There were 4 or 5 dishes on the table. She took a quick look and they happened to match her taste. In the media room, I smelled the soft fragrance of a woman. When I opened my eyes, Miss Fu was leaning over me, preparing to wake me up. You're back. The food must be cold and won't taste good. Fu Jingyuan was surprised to see my relaxed and natural attitude and said, It's fine, I'll just reheat it. I nodded and finally said, I'll make you a bit of new wine soup. I could smell the wine on her immediately. Fu Qinghuan actually didn't drink much today, but she was still surprised to smell it. Amazing, can you smell what kind of wine it is? I thought for a moment and replied, red-aged wine. Fu Qinghuan suddenly came so close to me that she almost brushed against me. I could only feel her warm breath and the fragrance of her hair. My skin flushed instantly. Blushing, Fu Qinghuan saw my reaction, laughed softly and whispered, So do you know where it was produced? I didn't say anything, I just changed the subject and said, Let's eat first. Miss Fu, didn't you eat well tonight? I asked curiously. Why did you think of making these dishes? Don't you like them, miss? Of course I like them. I like any dish you make. Back in the living room, I suggested, Let's take a bath to relax. You worked hard all day today. Fu Qinghuan nodded. While she went upstairs, I went to reheat the food. When Fu Qinghuan came down, she found my back turned to her. I was busy reheating the food. Fu Qinghuan walked up behind me. Seeing that she didn't move, I asked, "What's wrong? Is there something?" Fu Qinghuan looked at me, then gently wrapped her arms around my waist from behind, as intimately as if we were a couple in love for many years. "Ah Chen, what other dishes can you make? I know a bit of everything, but I'm no expert. I learned it all from working part-time at a restaurant when I was in college." "You worked part-time in college?" I nodded. "The house in my hometown was sold, but I want to buy one in H City. I still have to work hard. After all, the decoration and other things cost money, so I worked and studied part-time in college." I thought Fu Qinghuan would ask about my family situation, but she didn't. She just suddenly let go of me. I breathed a sigh of relief. Fu Qinghuan returned with a velvet gift box in her hand. I tried to take it, but Fu Qinghuan had already opened it. Inside was a men's watch. She wanted to put it on me, but for some reason she tried several times but couldn't put it on. I understood her intention. "Give it to me." I put it on casually with a natural and spontaneous movement. Fu Qinghuan seemed drawn to me and finally felt a little shy, lowering her head. Sometimes it's really strange. When she does things, she doesn't treat me as a stranger. Very bold, she's not afraid of me at all. But now, with a small casual gesture like this, I don't even dare to look at her. The food in the pot is already exuding a wonderful aroma. I hesitated for a moment before asking, should we eat in the dining room or somewhere else? Fu Qinghuan wanted to stay in the kitchen longer. "Taste it first, then I'll tell you. I saw how a teacher prepares it on the internet." I took a spoonful of soup. "Maybe it's not enough, Miss Fu, you try it." Fu Qinghuan looked at me, reaching out her hand to grab the spoon while I was holding it. Finally, she praised, "Tastes good, feed me." This was the first time I heard her speak in her authentic local dialect, with the nuance of her own voice, like a feather caressing the ear, urging one to rise up. Fu Qinghuan, in fact, didn't go to the dining room. She stayed in the kitchen and ate most of the food. It was clear she liked it very much. I felt a little proud. I'm not called a culinary genius for nothing. Then we went back to the room with our fingers intertwined before closing the door. I could only see Fu Qinghuan's ambiguous gaze toward me. Much later, Fu Qinghuan rested her head on my shoulder. Finally, she raised her head. "Ah Chen, I'm sorry, it wasn't intentional. In fact, given our relationship, it would be best if we each went to our own rooms." However, Fu Qinghuan didn't want to leave and I was really tired, so I let it be. I said with resignation, "It's my fault. Why are you apologizing to me?" Deep down, she is not a secure person. Although on the surface she seems decisive and bold, in private she also needs to be cared for. Although I don't know if she has ever told anyone else what she told me, I was truly moved. Perhaps it was because the atmosphere tonight was so beautiful and she was even gentler. For once, I felt relaxed and happy and told her, "Miss Fu, actually I lied. How should I put it? Being with you wasn't because you just appeared before me, but on the day of my birthday." She was the first and only person who wished me a happy birthday at midnight. "Actually, I haven't celebrated my birthday in many years," I said. Hearing no response from her, I half-jokingly teased, "It was a ridiculous decision. I also think it's very ridiculous." After saying that, I lowered my head. In the darkness, the gaze of Fu Qinghuan toward me was full of tenderness and trust. The next day, after washing up in the morning, I sat down to eat with Fu Qinghuan. The woman had already regained her usual composure. I said in my usual tone, "Today I'm going home, I won't come tonight." Fu Qinghuan looked at me. "When will you be back?" I thought about it and said, "Here is my phone. You can contact me whenever you want. If I'm not busy, I'll come." She nodded understandingly and then gestured for me to eat the breakfast in front of me. I took the salad bowl as usual. "Do you only eat this in the morning? Won't you really be hungry, Miss Fu?" "Don't worry, I do it for my health. I'm already used to it." Fu Qinghuan heard this and nodded. After eating, I wanted to call a taxi. She looked at her watch, then grabbed her car keys, saying, "Let's go together. I happen to be passing by. The hotel standards of the group are already set. It won't be in the Kaifei commercial district. We are on the way. Thank you for taking me here. You helped me a lot." We didn't talk much after we got in the car. It wasn't until we were close to the hotel that she considered changing jobs, for example, working at my company instead. Of course, but it was hard to change immediately after working so hard for this department head position on my own. Performance. By any chance, I don't want to for now, and I understand very well that in society's principles, there is competition everywhere. Changing companies for this reason, can you drop me off at the entrance? At the intersection is fine, get off here. My career fell on the road. No, I can grab a coffee myself in the coffee shop early in the morning. It's basically a clique and people from other companies, the group that she is familiar with, some of them smiled at me. It's a bit strange. Normally I don't interact with them much, sometimes they even ignore me. Why are people so polite today? She walked up to my desk and asked curiously, "Why did you take off yesterday?" "Don't blame me, I brought some ice cream for you. And what were you really doing yesterday?" "I opened my public accounts on my phone and put it on the table." "Stop looking." "Have you heard about the incident already trending?" "Of course, I know it has something to do with me. This is what happened at home." "Of course, there's more. Her father also got into trouble and has to cooperate with the investigation." Promoted by her father. The main point is that everyone knows the manager. It's surprising that he is also involved in the during my absence from the company, a lot has happened. Yesterday, you didn't know when Mayan and manager Kai were taken away. They were extremely unpleasant. "Oh, by the way, you can't sneak away early tonight. We have to celebrate. I only intended to recall the administrative department." "No wonder that group of people today, so how is it?" "Of course it's good, let's go there tonight." My good friendship, the trio is compatible, so we go out and drink, especially for celebration. The blog has millions of fans. Not only is it lively and reliable, but they introduce great places. But obviously my after-work drink with them is unlikely to happen. The incident with Hyan's father has caused too much of a backlash, along with Hyan's own scandals, one after another. It has directly affected the group's corporate image. The upper management is conducting an internal investigation, and they will naturally find out who worked with Hyan in the company. The manager of the administrative department called me in for questions. The whispers in the office, probably the office gossips. "What did she do yesterday? Is she planning to run away? She spent a lot of money. People like that will lose their temper." "Are you kidding me?" Slams table. "Shut up, what are you talking about? If you have something to say it to my face. What's the point of talking behind my back? Talking won't actually do anything. I didn't fight with them in person." Lin Qinghuan quickly sat me down. "Keep talking on your phone." Lin was very angry and worried about me. I searched my social media and discovered that the office leaders hadn't purposely made things difficult for me. After I told them everything, they told me to go back to my desk and work hard. I simply nodded, "Okay, thank you, leader." As I left the office, the whispers that were previously heard in the hallway vanished instantly. Everyone pretended to be busy. The matter of Hyan's infidelity was confirmed, and Deputy Manager Kai, Mayan, and others involved naturally no longer dared to openly harass me. Back at my desk, Lin Qinghuan came over immediately. "How did it go? Did they make things difficult for you?" I was almost scared to death. "Did you go looking for me? Don't you know yet?" Deputy Manager Kai, because of his deep connection with Hyan's family, has been suspended from all his duties and is undergoing an internal investigation. Also Mayan, who previously had the support of Deputy Manager Kai and stole credit and oppressed colleagues everywhere. Many people filed complaints. Now she can't make a move in the department and no longer dares to be arrogant and irrational. Workplace opportunism, bullying, and abuse of power don't last long in the end. These are the results they brought upon themselves step by step. It didn't take long for the company to officially issue an internal notice. Deputy Manager Kai was demoted. Mayan's quarterly bonus was withheld. As for Hyan, the negative controversy continued to intensify. Aside from family matters, no other manager came to the office to bother me. The huge stone weighing on my heart was completely lifted. I could finally devote myself entirely to work. After the first week, the company officially appointed me as the head of the administrative department. The moment the news was announced, the department burst into sincere applause. The colleagues who previously treated me with coldness all showed friendly expressions. "After work, now that you've been promoted and got a raise, you'll have to treat us to many more in the future." The others chimed in too. I looked at my two best friends beside me. I felt peace of mind. The phone connected quickly. "Are you done?" "Yes, I just finished dinner with friends. I was busy with all kinds of trivial matters before. I have never properly thanked you during this time. Thank you so your help." From the very beginning, at the luxury club, she stepped forward to help me out, even arranging a special assistant to help me with the police matters. Secretly monitoring the company's movements and quietly clearing many obstacles for me, Qinghuan never made a big deal of it, but every time I found myself in difficulties, she lent me a hand. From the other end of the phone, a soft laugh came. "Why thank me? I help you and it's never for your gratitude." She paused for a moment and asked gently, "Do you have time tonight? I'm downstairs at your office." My heart was touched and I walked quickly toward the office exit. Under the lamppost, Qinghuan stood with her hair over her shoulders, stripped of the coldness and sharpness of the business world. She had more warmth and charm. Seeing me coming, a faint smile appeared in her eyes. I walked up to her and stopped, looking at her seriously. "In fact, I've thought a lot during this time. At first, I had too many worries. I thought our backgrounds were too different and I didn't dare to get close. I only wanted to maintain a simple friendship. But after spending time together, I realized that relationships are never about weighing the pros and cons, nor are they defined by status. Qinghuan looked at me in silence. I come from a humble background and rely on myself for everything. I don't dare to easily rely on others, but after meeting you, my tense heart gradually relaxed. I like your occasional playful and teasing way. I also like your seemingly carefree nature when in reality your heart is tender and kind. I took a deep breath. I gathered my courage and expressed how I felt. Qinghuan, I no longer want to be just your friend. In the days to come, I want to stand by your side and face everything with you. Will you give me this chance? The breeze blew gently, fluttering her hair. The smile in Qinghuan's eyes grew warmer. She took a step forward and gently took my hand. The warmth of her palm was comforting. I've waited a long time to hear these words. Before, I said I didn't want to get involved in material things for fear of future entanglements. Now I want to change my mind. It's not that I covet everything of yours, but I want to stand by your side as an equal. I will work hard, live earnestly, and protect you in my own way. I have never doubted you. I admire your independence, your perseverance, and your sincerity. This is also why I am willing to approach you step by step. There is no need to rush on purpose. Let's just walk together. The following days were peaceful and warm. I established myself in my position as the head of the administrative department, earning the recognition of leaders and colleagues. Lin Su remained my best partner. In my spare time, I would cook myself and bring it to Fu. Within our social circle and on weekends we go for walks together. We go to the movies and shopping without complicated social obligations, just the simplest happiness of ordinary people. That afternoon, I leaned on her shoulder, watching the soft glow of the sunset on the horizon. My heart was filled with conviction, holding on to peace and stability, longing for every sunny morning on my path with kindness waiting.